This is Bob Platt in London on the day of the Coalition Government's first emergency budget. With me is the Institute of Directors Chief Economist Graeme Leach. So the Chancellor George Osborne has given his budget. Your reaction?
Well, I think it was a bold and decisive budget, a welcome dose of fiscal common sense, and we haven't been able to maybe say that for quite some time. Did the IoD get all it wanted on its wish list? No, we didn't. But the Chancellor did tick many of the boxes. We needed deficit reduction, which went faster and further than the previous Labour government, and that's what we got. We also needed to see deficit reduction which was overwhelmingly expenditure based. In other words, it was spending cuts, not tax rises, and we got that as well. And on the tax front, we needed to see any tax rises concentrated on indirect taxes, and we got that as well. So all in all, I think on the big picture, from the macro perspective, we would welcome the budget. Yes, we would have liked the Chancellor to have gone further, but the political reality is he's gone about as far as he could, and he did a good job in terms of closing the deficit further by the end of this Parliament. So we welcome that. With regard to the specifics on the tax front, obviously the proposed reductions in the standard rate of corporation tax and the smaller companies rate, like that, and clearly we would have liked the CGT regime to have remained unchanged. That was never a possibility. A change was in the coalition government, and we think the compromise is workable and tolerable from a business perspective. On the spending front, some welcome reductions there in the rate of growth of welfare spending, trying to address public sector pension reform as well, and with a real urgency there, we feel now, so that's a really good sign. And of course a 2-year pay freeze across the public sector, which was needed as well. So in overall terms, from a macro perspective, we think he did a good job.
So with the public spending cuts, the changes in taxation, the increase in VAT, is there a danger in the IoD's view that the economy may be affected, we may be slipping towards that double dip recession?
Well, I think there's always a risk of a double dip recession, but I don't think it will be because of today's budget. In fact, I think today's budget increases the opportunity for a stronger recovery. There's a lot of uncertainty out there. Business has got enough worries of its own, and yet public finances were there. They weren't really being dealt with. Today, we've shown that the public finances are being dealt with, and I think that can help long-term interest rates and business investment and business confidence. So I think after today, prospects for economic recovery are better, they're not worse. Now, many people would disagree with that. They would say, yes, but if you're taking spending out of the economy now, it will hit the economy. Yes, the initial impact is negative, but there are lots of second-round positive effects in terms of consumer and business confidence and investment and spending, which we think will crowd out that initial negative effect. The key, though, here is that the deficit reduction had to be overwhelmingly on the spending side. If it had been all on the tax side, I think we really would risk a double dip recession. Thankfully, the spending cuts account for nearly 77% of the deficit reduction by the end of the period. That should help both short-term and long-term growth prospects. What we didn't want to see was higher taxation hammering demand in the short term and the incentives to work, save and invest in the long term. The Chancellor has largely avoided that, and that's a real victory, because the danger was we were going to go down the wrong road.